Hello. I hope you can see me okay, and I hope that everything is running well for you. This is a meeting of the senior topics class, and this meeting is being recorded on my new PC. I'm switching over from using Mac to using a PC computer. So for those of you that know all about PC, just bear with me. This is a new way for me to do it. And we are going to be switching, since this is now the summer term, I'm going to be switching to a program called Canvas. But in order to join Canvas, you will need to have smartphones or a computer or an email. So if you're just watching this and you are in the media room and you're sitting there enjoying a cup of coffee and with your friends, then you don't need to worry about any of it. You're going to be doing just fine. Now, let me just adjust things a little bit. Make sure that everything's okay. Hi, how are you? It's good to see you, at least in my imagination. And I'm hoping that before you know it, the COVID-19 threat will be over and we'll be back to in-person meetings, because that is certainly my desire, as well as I know it is yours. Now, to start the meeting off, I have a box. I'm hoping you can see this box here. This is my box. I'm going to open it up. And inside, I have something that has been very precious to me for many, many years. This is very old, because I'm getting old. This is my bridal doll. And how are you, honey? Look at you. It's a little flattened out. She is in the style of a bride. Let's see if I can show you her dress. You can see it's a floor-length dress, and she has one heel on and the other one fell off. She's got an ankle bracelet with hearts, and she's got her high heel shoe on in a bone color. And oh yes, here's her other little shoe. If you can see it, let's put it on her. There we go. Now this doll, I guess it goes in the back behind the ankle. Oh, they're both falling off. Well, you know what, honey? We're just going to have to do it without the shoes. But since they're mostly looking at the top of you, it's okay. She's got a lacy dress, and she's got a beautiful, beautiful veil, and she's very traditional hairstyle. This was early 1960s. She's got her little pearl earrings, and she's got her pearl necklace, if you can see that around her neck there. And this is how they looked. In little girls, we all had beautiful dolls, and this is the one I had with a lacy, beautiful bridal dress. Now, why am I bringing her today? Well, this is our last meeting for June, and it's kind of interesting that the first week of summer quarter begins the last week in June. Today is June 29th. And so I thought, well, you know, June was traditionally wedding month. Okay, I'm going to put her back in her box. I've had her wrapped in tissue paper for many, many years. And so she's just going to watch, make sure that I share everything correctly. I'm going to see if I can turn this around for a minute. You can see her. I don't know if you can see her. No, I guess not. Okay, I want to get back into the Zoom. Okay, hi. I don't know if you got the recording or not. I think I accidentally hit something. As I was saying earlier, this is June 29th. It is the last week in June, and we're going to be talking about weddings. And I have here my little doll, and she is a typical bride. She's dressed as a typical bride. Hey, honey, how you looking? You're looking good. She's got on her pearl necklace and her pearl earrings. She's got a tiara. That's what they did in the 50s and 60s, a lot of them. And she's got on a bridal veil, which is made out of lace. And she's got her beautiful dress. She's very modestly dressed, the high neck, and she's got the lovely lace sleeves. And I want you to see the skirt all the way down. And then she has high heels and an ankle bracelet. So I'm going to have her sit over here by me. I was trying to turn the camera around, pan it around, but I'm not a cameraman, so I really am not good at that. And I think I cut off the zoom. So let's forget about that part. And we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to have her sit up while I talk to you. So June is traditionally wedding month. And how can I let this month go by without talking to you about weddings? And I'm looking for my water glass too. Okay, I think we're set and ready to go. So here are some wedding facts. And this says that in 2000, the year 2000, the average bride was 24 years old and the average groom was 28. Well, it's been 20 years since that came out. And that's not true. They're older now. The average bride is around 27 or 28. And the groom could be 28, 29, even into his early 30s. Young people are postponing getting married. And probably a lot of that has to do with they lived together first, which never used to happen. But that's what some of them have chosen to do now. There is a curse on the bridesmaids. Did you know that? Well, let's talk about that. There's a real interesting history to the whole bridesmaid thing. Thrice a bridesmaid, never a bride is an old charm that can be broken by being a bridesmaid 7 times. Now, why did the bridesmaids all dress the same? It's because back in the wild and woolly Middle Ages and before, a lot of times the bride could be kidnapped by somebody who disapproved of the groom and maybe the family wanted to get back at him. So if they had everybody dressed the same, then hopefully if anybody was kidnapped, it would not be the bride before she could be safely married. So that is why so often they dressed exactly in the same dress. Although today I noticed that sometimes they might have the same color, but they might each have their own unique style, whatever is the most flattering for them. I've noticed that. But they did it because they also believed in ancient times that evil spirits had a more difficult time if they dressed alike. And they couldn't really distinguish which one was the bride and put a hex on her. So that is one of the bridesmaids' customs. Now, how long did the engagement usually last? The average engagement period is a year and a half. Well, I have to say that some people get married a lot quicker, and some people wait till they finish college, and it could be 4 or 5 years. So when you average it out, even though all different lengths of time have happened for people, it was 11 months in 1990, and it was a year and a half, not too long after that, which is what's still happening. Now, what about engagement rings? The practice of giving or exchanging rings supposedly began in the year 1477 when the Roman Emperor Maximilian I gave Mary of Burgundy a diamond ring as an engagement present. And a lot of us, even if our husband is passed, still choose to wear our wedding ring. And it has become very, very popular to do the double wedding ring where, excuse me, I didn't mean to do that, where the groom is also given a ring and they wear their rings too. What is the most popular day in which to get married is Saturday when they're not working. But according to traditional folklore in England, that is the unluckiest day to marry. Well, I have to say it was very lucky for me. I was married more than 44 years when my husband passed. Now, the number of marriages has stayed about the same. People do believe in commitment and they do believe in marriage. It's been about 2.4 million marriages every year. How about the veil? I showed you the veil on my doll. The veil goes back all the way 2,000 years ago to ancient Rome. In those days, it was a flame yellow color. It was always worn over the face until the marriage was completed, and it was called a flammeum. A flammeum. That's where we get the word flame. Now, romantic lace is often associated with the love and romance of a wedding. Did you know that the veil made for Queen Elizabeth's 1923 wedding to George VI required more than 12,000 hours of sewing time and more than 12 million stitches? Wow. Now, today, many brides choose to wear a short veil or no veil at all. In a really formal wedding, it seems the more formal the wedding, the longer the veil, and some of them reach all the way to the floor and can be held by the flower girl in the back or one of the bridesmaids. Now, what about people who get remarried? If they've been divorced or widowed, there are people who want to get remarried. And so a third of those 2.5 million weddings are people marrying for the second time or maybe more. So a third of them are remarriages. In the rhyme, there's a rhyme about it, a very traditional rhyme. Most brides know this, even our modern ones. Something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. Blue is symbolic of the blood of royalty, since both the bride and the groom were once considered to be royal on their wedding day. Isn't that nice? Just you can be royal without all the responsibilities on the day that you are married. Now, in the state of Pennsylvania, there is a law on the books that ministers are absolutely forbidden for performing marriages if either the bride or the groom are drunk. How about that? How about the kiss? The kiss that is given by the bride to the groom and vice versa at the end of the wedding ceremony originates from our earliest times, when the couple would actually make love for the first time under the eyes of half the village. Well, they don't have to do that anymore. We stick with a chaste kiss now. What is the number of bridesmaids? Well, in the 60s and 70s, it was 2. But these days, it can be up to 8 or 10. The average or most frequent number of bridesmaids is 4. 62% of the weddings have a flower girl. 56% have a little boy that's the ring bearer with the ring on a velvet pillow. Why do we wear the engagement ring and the wedding band, ladies, on the 4th finger of the left hand? It goes back to the ancient Egyptians. In the time of Egypt and the Empire of Egypt, they believed that a vein of love ran from that finger directly to your heart. How about that? Now, brides used to wear any and every color. Usually a woman would just pick her best, fanciest dress. Could be any color. But in the 1800s, mid 1800s, Queen Victoria chose to wear white as a symbol of purity when she wed the love of her life, Prince Albert, in 1840. That was the wedding of the century and maybe the millennium, because ever since then, brides usually, for the first wedding, will wear white, any shade of white. Now, the average wedding back in the 60s and 70s could run between about $5,000 to $8,000. Now, by the year 2000, the wedding price had gone up to almost $19,000 with 186 guests. And you know that weddings can be very, very simple, or it can go all the way up to very, very extravagant, such as the wedding last year when we got to watch the royal wedding where Prince Harry married Meghan Markle, who was an actress from Canada. Okay, and the average second wedding costs $12,000. Although I have to say, usually by the second wedding, people are trying to be more practical and they save the money for a house or for a nice honeymoon. So the first wedding, usually they spend more money. And as I said before, the average number of guests is approximately 189, 190 guests at a wedding. Weddings are a $25 billion industry, but I have to say, in the tumultuous year of 2020, the wedding business has taken a big hit. I attended a virtual wedding online because this was in early April. No more than 10 people were allowed to be together, and they were supposed to be mostly from the family, from the same household. The wedding I attended was held in the backyard, people socially distanced, and it comprised mainly the parents of the bride and groom, sisters and brothers, and a best man and the maid of honor. And that was it. And then they recorded it through Zoom, and we were invited to watch it. So we watched it live, and then we sent the gifts. We mailed the gifts to their home later. It was a very simple wedding. For music, they did not have live musicians, obviously. So they had to use recorded music. And here's the interesting part. You'll like this. The minister who married them lived in Oklahoma, quite a ways away from our state of California. He married them through the computer. It was definitely a virtual wedding. They had the wedding license, everything had been pre-signed for the wedding license, but their vows were said and he was on computer. Now they are still hoping, here it is June, almost the end of June. They're still hoping to sometime have a wedding reception where many, many friends can come and celebrate with them. And the bride can wear her dress and the groom will wear his tuxedo and everyone will be able to celebrate and rejoice with them and give them a hug in person. Won't that be wonderful? But this is a year for the books, I'm telling you. We're going to be talking about this for a long time. I know that most brides spend between 7 to 12 months planning their wedding. I had to plan mine quickly because my husband got a job out of state as a radio station manager, and he wanted me to be able to go with him and we could honeymoon before the job started on our way to the new state. So I think we had about a month to plan it. And I had a lovely, lovely friend, Frances, who became my wedding coordinator. And she was also a psychologist. So she was very, very good at calming this bride's unsettled nerves because there was so much to do. But of course, it turned out great. And we were married many, many years. I have a poem that I'd like to read now by one of the writers from my creative writing class. Her name is Mary Damone. Here comes the white June bride, her cash poor father by her side. Frilly bridesmaids march in line. An awkward flower girl drags a vine. Here comes the holy man in charge, reading vows in a book so large. Groom says I do, and bride does too. Kiss the bride, a marriage new. Here comes the black robed judge. A clerk appears to help him nudge. Both lawyers stand to earn their pay as nervous clients look away. Paperwork is everywhere. Sign your name, don't despair. All I do's become we don't. Now it ends, no more we won't. Here comes the dressed red bride, it's the second marriage. Her current boss is by her side. A little boy looks at his mom and then he asks, where's the John? Music from a cell phone plays as vows are read without delay. New hopes that bliss will come at last. So move ahead, forget the past. And that's kind of a tongue in cheek about what can happen. Just a couple more things, and then I want to move on to the next subject. The largest wedding attendance recorded was a Jewish wedding in Jerusalem in 1993, where 30,000 people attended. Oh, wow. The wedding shower originated with a Dutch maiden who fell in love with an impoverished miller. Her friends showered her with many gifts so that the couple could do without the dowry. In the symbolic language of jewels, a sapphire mounted in the wedding ring means marital happiness. A pearl engagement ring is said to be bad luck because its shape echoes that of a tear. The Roman goddess Juno rules over weddings, the marriage, the hearth, and childbirth. That's why June weddings are so popular. Although I have to say, in the last few years, there have been more marriages performed in August. Now, here's a couple funny things. One bride, after discovering her groom-to-be was wearing her wedding dress and locked in a passionate embrace with the best man on the night before their wedding, quite rightly canceled the wedding. Whew, boy, did she dodge a bullet. One bride holds the record for the most distressful wedding day ever. Princess Maria del Pozo della Cisterno was marked by not one unforgettable event on her day, but 6. The day she married the Duke d'Aosta, the son of the King of Italy, in 1867, her wardrobe mistress hung herself, and the palace gatekeeper cut his throat. Further events to mar the day was the death of the colonel who was leading the wedding procession because he collapsed from sunstroke. And the station master was crushed to death underneath the honeymoon train's wheels. If that was not enough, the best man shot himself, and the king's aide fell from his horse and was killed instantly. What a way to go. Okay, we're moving on. I have some news tidbits for you here. This comes from World Magazine, and these are actually from last summer when our world was a little bit more normal. The mayor of Bologna, Italy, has a request for tourists traveling to his town. Please stop asking for spaghetti bolognese. According to the mayor, Virginia Marola, that popular Italian dish is not really Italian at all, but rather a foreign invention. Marola says bolognese sauce was first created in Bologna, but locals there serve it with flat noodles. Spaghetti, he told the Italian radio, comes from further south in Italy. Spaghetti bolognese doesn't really actually exist, and yet it's famous the world over. Well, that's how rumors get started. According to detail paid off for one Georgia teacher. After buying travel insurance for a trip to London in September, Delolan Andrews sat down to read the fine print. Hidden in a jungle of legal phrases, Andrews discovered the travel insurance company had secretly inserted a contest. Quote, if you've read this far, then you are one of the very few 10-leg customers to review all their policy documentation, the contract read. It instructed readers to respond with an email to a special address. Because Andrews was the first to reply, she won the company's $10,000 prize. She says she'll use the money to fund a trip to Scotland for her 35th wedding anniversary. So yes, I guess it does pay to read the fine print. You know that the U.S. Postal Service has been having trouble. They might need to update their motto about whether it's rain or snow, the mail must always continue on and go through. Well, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration had to issue a fine to the post office in January for delivering the mail during the heat, the excessive heat of August in 2018. The official OSHA complaint alleges that mail carriers in Arlington, Florida, were exposed to the hazards of high ambient temperatures while delivering mail. The health organization fined the Postal Service $129,000, 3,300. According to the postal motto, neither snow nor rain nor heat will prevent postal workers from delivering the mail if the heat is just too excessive. Well, I have to give a shout out to Southern California postal workers. I've seen them deliver the mail when it's been over 100 degrees. And even though they're wearing shorts and they're wearing special hats to protect them from the sun, I've seen them sweating. It's always good to thank them for their service in this turbulent time. Now, there was a couple who got in trouble because of a bad marriage proposal. It was considered to be immodest. Where did it happen? In Iran, and it ran afoul of local religious authorities. A video published March 8th of last year revealed a man asking a woman to marry him as the couple stood in the middle of a popular shopping mall in Iraq, Iran. For the proposal, the man had put some thought into it. He had arranged balloons and flower petals in the shape of a heart. But this did not go over with the authorities in Iran. Police arrested the couple, saying they had committed a lewd public display based upon Western cultural norms, not Islamic custom. The deputy police chief explained the arrest. It's unacceptable, he said, to do whatever is common in other places of the world and disregard our culture and our religion. The anonymous couple were quickly released on bail that had been paid by the parents. Thank you for that. One more. If I were president, this is an election year. It's a little bit contentious, as we know, but let's look at it for a minute. Here's what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he's a basketball player. Here's what he said. I would make Constitution Day a national holiday. That's September 17th, with public readings from the Constitution. How about Drew Barrymore, who comes from the famous Barrymore family of actors and actresses? I would insist on 3-day weekends. It would change the universe. How about Dr. Oz, the popular television doctor? I would ask every 18-year-old to spend a year of service to our country in return for helping them pay for their education or get a permanent job. I like that one. I think I would do that too if I were president. And here's Robbie Novak, who's 12 years old. He's an actor in a show called Kid President. I would tell kids, try your hardest and stay in school. Well, what would you do if you were president? See if you can turn to your neighbor and talk about that for a few minutes. Instead of complaining about the current or past presidents, think about what you would do to try and make our country a better place. And I'm going to stop here. I hope you've enjoyed today's session. I miss you. I think about you often and pray God's blessings on you. And I hope to see you again next week. Bye. Stay cool. don't know if I can get it to shut off.